the team. We are being led by Dr. Frederica Singletary, who is our president and CEO, Mrs. Jackie Jordan, who is our fractional chief financial officer, La Costa Moore, who is our fractional chief human resource officer, Courtney Martin, our senior director of marketing communications and engagement, Dr. Kitiana Lowe, or Dr. K, as most of us call her, is the Director of Programs and Events. And then you have me, Colleen Rudisa, Director of Certification and Outreach, Robbie Moore, Certification Manager, Devin Davis, Corporate Engagement Manager, Morgan McDonald, Administrative Assistant, and Anita Steele, our contractor who is our certification specialist. And that is the team, small and mighty. And now we have our facilitator today, who is Kathy Lindeman, President of Evolution Creative Solutions.
Fantastic. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am Kathy Lindeman with Evolution Creative Solutions. I actually run two businesses. I do Evolution Creative Solutions, which is a print apparel and promotional products company. I own 51% of it with two other partners. We're located in Cincinnati, and our job is to make small businesses look big. And so we do more work with weedies than we do with corporates, although most of our money is made in the corporate world because, they just spend more often than small businesses do. And then I also own Kathy Lindeman Coaching. I do business advising under the 10,000 Small Business Goldman Sachs program. And I do trainings for small business owners with the Small Business Development Center. So you may see me in other formats as well, but here I am to do this. I do think we have time, so if you're willing to come off mute, I would love to hear who you are, what you do, and how long you have been certified. And I won't call on people because if you don't want to come off, that's okay.
I'll jump in. Carrie Day, Delta Consulting have been, and I've got one of my team members here with me as well, have been certified for exactly a year. Delta Consulting, we're a change management boutique consulting firm.
Okay, I like it. 1 year, congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other takers? All righty. So our agenda today is we do want to make sure you have some foundational knowledge. We want to talk about the background of WBENC. We want to talk about their value proposition, what they give to you. Most of the time, people do not understand all of the different things that they give. We do want to talk about supplier diversity advantages and the role of the supplier diversity professionals. So because they are your champions. So we want to make sure that you know what they do. And then we do want to make sure that you maximize your certification. So Carrie, you're 1 year in. It's time to make sure that you're using it as best as you can. And maybe perhaps you've forgotten something that is a benefit. So the benefits, how to incorporate your seal into your brand, prospecting inside WBENC community, and engaging with the WBENC national organization and national league, and how to participate in your regional partner organization called your RPO. And so we're going to talk about all of those things. So Colleen, if you don't mind, part one is the foundational knowledge. So we're just going to talk about WBENC, their value proposition, and supplier inclusion. If you have any questions, feel free to come off mute. I talk really fast, so you can also come off mute and say, Kathy, slow down. I do have on my notes to breathe. So a little bit about WBENC. So WBENC has 14 regional partner organizations. So it is based out of DC. It's a nonprofit organization that oversees the certification of women businesses, but it wants to make things feel a little more intimate. So they have 14 regional partner organizations. You can see that the map is highlighted in different colors. And so ours is West Virginia, Kentucky, and Ohio. It does not mean that you are not invited to everything else. Once a member of WBENC, you are a member of the entire country. And so your certification will work nationally. If you want to do work in Montana, go for it. If you want to do work in Texas, go for it. So there are over 20,000 of us. And so as you're thinking about outreaching, you have to remember that you're one of 20,000 that could potentially be reaching out with your WBENC to all of the 500 corporate members nationally. I bring that up because the other day I happened to have a meeting. A lady was like, well, I got certified and nobody seems to care. And I was like, well, there are 20,000 of us, so we have to kind of get to know them. We have to get to know the corporates before the money is just going to land in our laps. Go ahead, Colleen. So WBENC ORV, as I said, is the Ohio River Valley. So it's Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. They are charged to certify us. So they want to make sure that we are certified. Their job is actually to promote us as well, to promote the activity that we do, to help and expand and encourage our businesses. So their job is not just to certify us, but their job is actually to help us grow. And so it was established in 2009. They have 7 corporate members, 348 certified Weavies today. Well, that's not right. I'm reading that wrong. That was in 2009. But now there's over 1,000 certified Weavies and 70 corporate members. So just in the 3 states, there are 70 corporates that you can easily get to know because they're involved in our state and in our RPO. So as I said, they do have a core platform. Their vision is to be the premier resource for women-owned businesses. They want to make sure that they're developing us by certifying us. Like I said, I'm a printer. There is a competitive printer. There was. That really, the man ran the business. And so it always just kind of drove me crazy because I knew that. And so I took it to WBENC and said, hey, I want to file a complaint. I don't think that this is really woman-owned. They reviewed everything. So we want to make sure that it really is woman-owned. And it's not just a front for a woman-owned, for a man-owned business that has, perhaps his wife is the owner, even though she doesn't work there. And then we do have opportunities where they do programs. I will say they are best-in-class programs. They have events. If you have not been attending the coffee breaks in the morning, I would highly suggest those, which we'll get to the calendar a little later. And there's lots of other networking opportunities where you can meet with the supplier diversity. You can meet with governments and corporates. The governments often are trying to help your back end. They may be helping you with employees. They may be helping you with money. They may be helping you with your operations. And so WBENC is a very nice place to where it has the women, the resources, and the opportunity with corporates. And they do a nice job of putting all those together. And then they do have resources. So they want to make sure you have education and you have tools that you need to grow and succeed. So personally, I serve on the programs committee. And I'm always making sure that we're hitting all of these things. Like, are we making sure that people are getting education that they need? Are we making sure that they just feel supported? And are we making sure that we have the tools? So we're constantly doing surveys, constantly talking to people and saying, what do you need out of your certificate? And then they are also charged with engagement. So they want to make sure that they partner with their constituents to make sure that they have a common goal. So we want to make sure that all of our programs are going in the same direction and that we're not creating a spider web where no one knows what's going on. And so the value. So the federal government years ago created a mandate that 5% of all goods and services had to be from women and minorities. And so the corporates took that message and set up supplier diversity programs. They knew that they needed to be able to track their suppliers, and they also needed to recruit. So for years, I went to UC Health. Every single month, they had to report out how much was their spend. The construction companies had to report how many minority and women-owned businesses they were working with. They took it very intentional to make sure that the program was valued. The original value was 5%. By the time they finally finished doing the program, the spend was over 25%. And that's why they sunsetted it, because they were doing so well. They still do supplier diversity, but they don't hold the monthly meeting because they realized that the monthly meeting got them so far above their goal that they didn't need to have the meetings. And then the business model evolved. So corporates started purchasing goods from women. And then all of a sudden, they realized that women were making the decisions at home. It made sense to buy stuff from women. And so all of the organizations, the governments, even though there's quite the political climate going on right now, do have inclusion goals. Oftentimes you will hear it called something other than inclusion, but they are still tracking all of the data and still supporting the people that really support them, because they know that women are making 80% of the decisions. And so most of the corporations, and this is going to be part of your homework, most of the corporations will have a supplier diversity professional. This is actually how Colleen and I met. So she worked inside Macy's as part of their supplier diversity team. So Macy's had a whole entire team that did nothing but go out and recruit and develop women-owned businesses. And so many of the corporations have a half to a whole team of supplier diversity professionals that their goal, their KPIs are to go out and find supplier diversity companies, the diverse companies that they can do business with. And so you want to talk about KPIs, their KPI is they need to find you. And so these supplier diversities are looking for people that they can make exceptions for, because if they know you, they can make exceptions. They can create vendor opportunities in closed communities. They can carve off part of a major contract for qualified weavies. Tons of them have mentor and protege programs. Messer does a phenomenal one. That's how come I wanted to be in their meeting yesterday. They were recruiting for a new class. So if you're anywhere in the construction space or would supply anything to a construction company, I would suggest that you reach out to Messer and fill out their portal. But all of the other companies, many of the other companies do this as well. So if you watch the newsletter, there are lots of them that are advertised. And then they also do vendor financing. So my takeaway from last year's conference, there was two companies talking. One of them was P&G, and I can't remember who the other one was. They were on a panel and they were talking about payment. And the one guy was like, well, you know, we're pushing our payments out to 90 days. And P&G said, we're pushing ours out to 180. And everybody in the room was like, 180 days, that's a half a year. And so P&G established a early pay for women and minority companies. They knew that they could not survive that long. So they do have vendor financing mechanisms inside. And then the WBENC and the network of Weavies just continues to grow, because as we become successful, we recruit other women. As the corporations become successful, they recruit other organizations as well. And so we just create this nice blend where we're bringing in corporates and corporates are bringing us in, and everybody is being successful. But the trick is the supplier diversity professional actually doesn't buy anything. So I've often heard them say that they feel like a salmon swimming upstream because they want to help you, but they have to make sure that they're networking you with the correct person. So they will help you with the vendor registration process. They can help you know who's going to buy from you. They can help do purchasing. They can tell you when is the timeline, what is their purchasing process. They can get you invitations to corporate events so that you get to meet the correct people. And they also refer to other corporations. So there's one thing I know is they all talk to each other. So if you do a good job for one, more than likely your name is going to be spread around to all of them. But they do not make sourcing decisions. I knew Colleen very, very well. She never bought anything from me, but she did set me up when they were going to print business cards, letterheads, and envelopes. She made sure that I knew who was buying it, who was doing the RFP, made sure I was included on the RFP, and I actually turned it down because it was too large for me, and I didn't want to make Colleen look bad. I didn't want to say I can do this, but all of my networking paid off, and it allowed me to be at the seat at the table to decide if that was actually something that fit me. So they're going to know their business. They're going to help you get registered again. They actually track, they're the ones that do the portal. So when someone in purchasing is looking to buy, the supplier diversity will go out and look in the portal. We'll talk about that in WBENC Link 2.0. And then they always say persistently and pleasantly follow up. But here's their tips. Don't say, hey, do you have any business for me? The best advice I ever got was follow up where they want. So you have to ask them, do you prefer LinkedIn or do you prefer email? Do you prefer text? Where do you want me to follow up with you? I've had several that said LinkedIn. I don't like for all the networking to be in my email. LinkedIn, so that if I change roles, I still know your contact information. But then the other advice is don't ask for business. Actually tell them what the latest thing is in your business or in the industry that you're in. And so constantly give them knowledge. It's how they stay around. At the national convention this year, Dollar General was talking about they count on their suppliers, and their best suppliers are the ones that know more than they do. They're like, we are just constantly asking our suppliers, like, what do you see? Like, you're the expert in this area. We're the expert in having a building that sells products, but we're not an expert in toothbrushes. So what do you know about toothbrushes, or whatever the case may be? I just made up a toothbrush. So they're anticipating that you're going to know some knowledge about them, and you're going to know some knowledge about your industry. So how do you maximize your certification? There are some benefits. We're going to talk about doing some prospecting, and we're going to talk about how to be engaged, because those things are going to be a nice balance. And if you don't do all of those, you may find that you don't feel like your certification is getting you everywhere. So first off, it does give you access to supplier diversity and procurement executives at many, many levels. And like I said, I do more with Weebies. So it actually gives me access to you all, because I want to make small businesses look big. And so it gives them not only to corporates, but also to Weebies. I've also partnered with other women-owned businesses to be big enough to supply to a corporate. And then there's formal and informal opportunities to pursue business. And then there's access to networking events. I think these are the most important. Whether you like to learn, whether you like to chit chat, whether you like to mentor, regardless of how you like to get to know people, they have the opportunity, but they remember your name because you're there. They're not going to remember your email. They have 20,000 of us emailing them. But if you show up for an event, they're going to remember what you were wearing or what you said or something that made you stand out. Colleen and I, well, we always laugh because the reason that we're really good friends is because we were at a conference and we both skipped the conference and went shopping at Macy's. I may or may not still have my scarf that I bought, and every time I wear it, I'm always like, hey, Colleen, this is when we were skipping the conference. And so it's not about just, can you give me business? It's about getting to know them, getting to know how their business works, so that when the opportunity comes up and they're sitting in a room, they don't have to have an email to remember you. They're like, I need print. I know Kathy can do that. So you want to
On
make
the
sure,
skipping conference, we only skipped a session. And
yeah,
it was
well,
before we only skipped a session, and it was before she was going to be on stage. And we got her this beautiful scarf to go with her lavender blouse.
I know it
And
was
that
so
was,
pretty.
yeah, and it just made everything pop. So
It
I'm
did.
gonna
It did. You're right, Colleen. We did just skip for an hour. Um, and then it does give you eligibility for regional and national awards and recognition. So this year I was named one of the women of distinction for the organization for how much I have given and how much I've done to raise others up. Zulene from Z Promotions this year is the star, which is the outstanding award of our regional partner organization at the national level. And so the whole entire nation is celebrating the work that she has done. So it definitely gives you the ability to have recognition across the whole nation. And even with recognition, you can get on forum, which everybody is a part of forum, but then there's a raised part of forum that has a lot of national recognition. So there are ways for you to have your name out there. Like I said, in whatever works for you. Just pick whatever works for you because there's opportunities in all the parts of the pie. And then you want to use your women-owned logo and your Women Business Enterprise Seal as a marketing tool to promote your business. I'll talk a little bit more about that, so I'll hold my story for that because that's one of my favorites. And then community support from other female business owners. So I have multiple groups that I just get together and we go to breakfast or we go to lunch. And it really is just a place for us to talk. I always say rest in peace, Shelley Heller. She and I met once a month, every month for like 4 years until she passed away. And all we did was get together and say, how is the business doing? Where are you trying to get to? And it was just a place where we could sound off with each other. And it was a safe place for us to share. Next slide, Colleen. So there is different seals. So they have the Women Business Enterprise seal that you have there on the left. That is typically used for proposals, business cards, websites, marketing collateral. So this is generally things that when you're going to do it to supplier diversities, you want to make sure that they know that you're woman-owned. You use this seal. The women-owned logo on the right is actually for consumer-facing material. So you want to have it on packages, you want to have it on marketing collateral. When they came out with this, I was like, who's ever going to care about this women-owned seal on a package? Like, I don't pick up a package and look at it. But one day I found myself in the grocery store and I actually was picking up packages and looking, and I found my favorite because I'm gluten-free. So I was picking it up to turn around to see if it was gluten-free or not. I turned around and I was like, oh, this is woman-owned. I definitely want to try this cookie. And so I bought the cookies. They were gluten-free, but I was looking for gluten-free, found out it was woman-owned, definitely sealed the deal that I was going to buy it because it had that logo on the package. And still to this day, favorite chocolate chips ever. Sweet Lorraine's, by the way. Kudos to them for making great gluten-free desserts.
They are amazing as another
Yes,
gluten-free person.
yes, as two gluten-free women, we do. So if you have a product that sits on a shelf or that is consumer facing, you want to use the woman-owned logo on the right, but really all of the other one is certified. And so supplier diversity people are going to know. They know that you know which logo goes where. All right, Colleen. This is my slide I struggle with the most, mostly because I struggle with this marketing tool. So prospecting in the WBENC community. So WBENC Link 2.0, everyone has been in there. This is where you get certified. But inside, it is also a marketing tool. You can identify every single corporate and supplier diversity nationally. So if you want to do work with Emory, you can go out to Emory and find out who is the supplier diversity inside Emory. Remember, they're not going to buy anything from you. They're going to become your champion. They're going to learn about you. They're going to understand what you do. They're going to find out what buyer is going to buy from you. They're going to tell you what contracts are coming up. And then you can also identify other women business enterprises for partnership and business opportunities. So the big thing with corporates is they want to manage their suppliers. You can only envision P&G probably already has 25,000, and that might be low. So to add on another supplier for one little tiny thing is a lot of work for them. It took 18 months for Fifth Third to onboard me. To onboard me for 2 jobs a year is not worth it. And so the corporates want us to go out and find someone that we have synergy with. We don't have to merge our companies. We can create a joint venture, or we can just do it straight up on the, 2 different businesses, all build to P&G under one. They want to have more women merging their minds together so they have one vendor relationship to manage, but they're supporting lots of women. And so a lot of that becomes tier 2 programs, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then make sure your profile is complete, your NAICS codes, your keywords, your annual revenue, your number of employees. You can only do that once a year when you get certified, unless you reach out and request an update. I will say that the national, and Colleen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard it the other day. I saw the presentation. I don't know the title, but they have a program that they do that goes through and shows you all the mistakes that people generally make in their profile, and they show you where you can correct those so that as supplier diversity people are looking for you, your information is in the correct place. Colleen, do you know by chance what the national program is? That I happened to catch it the other day, but I didn't catch the title.
It's in WBENC Link. You can register for it in WBENC Link, and they do it once a month. And they go
Okay.
through what WBENC looks like, where people make mistakes. Sometimes, like one of the examples we had in our national certification meeting, they were talking on the NAICS codes, and somebody had put branding as one of their keywords, and they pulled their NAICS codes using their keyword. They were in marketing, but the NAICS code that they pulled up was for agriculture, for branding cattle. So I try and tell people, please make sure you're looking at what you're actually pulling when you're doing the NAICS codes. If you do look at your profile and you're like, "Ooh, I messed up. This is wrong," you can email Robbie and and we can actually go in and make changes to that. Um, Please keep in mind, don't do that every time you have a prospect for a job. We just need to make sure that your NAICS codes are clear and concise. And if you're in marketing, you don't actually have agriculture as one of your NAICS codes.
Let's be real. The NAICS codes are very generic and hard to find. So you can put multiple ones on there so they can find multiple ones. So you want to make sure that you're pulling the NAICS codes that fit in with all of your different lines of businesses. So I think I have one primary one, but then I think I have about 8 other ones listed because I do print, but I do offset print, digital print, large format print. I do apparel decoration. I do embroidery. I do heat transfers. And there's different NAICS codes for different things. So you want to make sure that you pull those, but make sure that you don't pull ones that are not, that don't fit, because then all of a sudden you have people prospecting you and you're like, why are they prospecting me? I'm not in that area. But it's a great marketing tool. There's so much information out there. All right, Colleen, are we ready? So then we want to in WeBank Link 2.0, you can download the corporate contacts. You can check WeBank ORV, or if you're in a different RPO website, for their regional corporate members. So what I suggest is that you make your target list. You go out to WeBank Link 2.0, you find that target in WeBank Link 2.0. You find out where the supplier diversity person sits, what state or which RPO, and then you go out to that RPO and you start networking there, because then you'll run into the supplier diversity person in that regional partner organization. If your person that you're trying to call on is in California and you're showing up for WeBank ORV events, you're most likely not going to run into that person, even though it's a nationwide. So you want to check out who are the regional corporates and make sure that you're networking in the correct region. I mean, our events are awesome, don't get me wrong. But if you're there for the money, make sure you're going where the money's going to be. Then you want to build your prospecting list so you can check websites. So just like you can go out and check our website for the regional corporate members, you can do that for all the other ones as well. And then most importantly, 100% of them will tell you if they have a vendor supply profile, you have to fill it out. They will not talk to you. They will not do anything. Their first question will be, are you in our profile? Are you in our vendors list? And as I said, they do want to control their vendors. So they have very robust tier 2 programs. So for those of you that are not familiar, tier 1 programs are people that actually directly supply to the corporate. Tier 2 are people that supply to the person that goes to corporate. So I do tons of tier 2 work. So I told you that I wasn't big enough to do Macy's business cards, letterheads, and envelopes. There is a printer down the street that does tons of work for Macy's. They need massive displays, but they need directions on how to assemble the displays, and none of their printers will actually print something that small. So they come to us and we print all the stuff that's too small for their presses. And so we do tier 2 work for other printers, and we do that for about 4 different large printers. And so I print for Kroger, I print for Macy's, I print for Dillard's, but none of those do I get paid directly from. I get paid from the printer that does the work for them. So you want to make sure you ask them about their tier 2 program. And consider doing business with other Weebies. And you want to make sure that you get involved in all the different inclusion events. Feel like I've already said that a few times. Getting involved, that's the key. Make sure they know who you are. And then do your homework. So always love supplier diversity people that say, well, they walked up to Fifth Third and said, what do y'all do? I mean, you should at least know what Fifth Third does if you're going to call on them. So do your homework. If you go into WeBank Link 2.0, you can figure out how committed they are to the supplier diversity and inclusion, because you can figure out if they have 1 staff, 2 staffs. You can start doing some research. The more staff they have in their supplier diversity, the more dedicated they are. Do your homework, go out to their website, find out if they have a vendor portal. Do they have a supplier diversity statement? One of the great things about corporates is you can actually read their annual report and you will find out what data they track on their supplier diversity. And then find out if they hold supplier diversity events. So you want to make sure that you're doing all your homework and figuring out where they are. It's way easier to do all this homework and narrow it down than to just send out tons and tons of emails with no response. I promise you. And then what all are the overall culture that they have? What are their goals? What are their majors? Then once you've done all of that, and you can talk to the supplier diversity champion, show them that you've done your homework, then you can start asking them, like, what's the procurement process? Is it centralized or decentralized? So Messer Construction, I got to know the supplier diversity people really well. I got into their program. I knew a vice president really well. He came on a tour and said, okay, great, you're a great fit. He went out to his team and said, okay, great, evolution is phenomenal, use them, no orders. And then finally, I had met somebody that worked at Messer, and I was like, well, I've talked to this person and this person and this person. Will you give me some work? And he gave me work. Well, he was a project manager, and Messer has tons of them, but they were all decentralized and nobody knew. So when they had a project management meeting, he said, hey, I used Evolution. They're awesome. So slowly but surely, the project managers started using me. Corporate got a hold that I was doing that many. Purchasing came back and said, we want to just centralize printing. And so we set up a portal where all of the project managers could buy from me. So I actually changed them from decentralized to centralized, but it took me a while to make sure that the process was all going smooth. So you just have to know where is the decision being made and then do that legwork. And then you want to ask what they make their decision on. You know, some people are always low bid. Some people are not really about low bid. They're about timing. I'm working on a project that's due on Monday today, and they were like, we don't care what the budget is, we have to have it installed. Our CEO is arriving on Tuesday, and his office needs to be fully decorated. And I'm like, okay, tell me what you need to have happen. I will have it all done on Monday. So low bid is not always, you just have to know what's the most important thing. And then always ask and see if you can start getting some buyer's information, as we've talked about. And then they will tell you about the bid opportunities. And again, the best way to get your foot in the door is to be a tier 2, because then as you show that you can do more and more work, they know you and they will send more work your way. Next slide, colleagues. If you want to do work with the federal government, they prefer that you be SBA, Women in Small Business certified. And so WBENC ORV and WBENC across the nation is approved as a third-party certifier. And so you can just add this to your WBE application at no extra cost. And so as you're going through, I'm sure as you did it, there was a place that said, do you want to get your WBE certification? If you want to do work with the federal government, it's highly advised that you do that. You do have to get a SAMS number. So you have to go to SAMS.gov and get a SAMS number. You can also apply through the SBA. Way easier to do it through WBENC, trust me. And so nationally, if you want to be involved nationally, there's the annual conference that just occurred in Utah. So you have to wait until next June. Colleen, have they announced where it's going to be next year yet?
I have heard it's going to be in Orlando, Florida.
All right, Orlando, Florida in June. That won't be hot and humid at all, people. That will not be
No,
hot.
but well, Salt Lake City wasn't hot either.
It was hot, but at least it wasn't humid. So there are places where you can have exhibitors so that the corporates come around and see what all you do, and other women can do that. There are over 350 exhibitors. More than half of those are corporates. And so lots of the corporates have it where you can go and meet their corporates. There are 4,500 of your favorite people there. So there is lots of opportunities to network. They have great roundtables where you meet 10 and 12 people at a time. So everybody gets to know each other, and then you move on and you meet the next 10 or 12 people. There is nationally networking, and they have tons of engagement. It's all just virtual throughout the year. So there's lots of national networking, but their conference is in June. And then you have the forum. It is open to all WBEs. So there's forum leadership opportunities and appointments. It really gets you to where you get to network with other women business organizations across the country, which just raises your level to access to corporates. It also gives you WBE to WBE connections. tons of learning. So there are, I think, 5 divisions, and each one of them has, each one of them gives a presentation on what they learned. And so last year we did AI. This year we did exporting. There's many other ones. Those are just the 2 that my committee has done. And so we want to make sure that you have opportunities to learn, and there's tons of collaboration and partnering. So if you're interested in getting involved nationally and in forum, just reach out to your RPO. And then you want to make sure that you participate in your RPO. We are having Catch the Wave in Louisville, which of course means it has to be Derby themed, even though Derby's already happened. Hey, the first woman owner won the Derby, trained by a woman. Let's go, women, for the Derby. It is annually in August. It is hosted by WBENC ORV. There's 300 plus attendees. It is definitely regional network, but the corporates that come are definitely national. So Toyota's going to be there because they have a footprint here. They are a national, obviously, organization. So it is a regional footprint, but the organizations generally are national. There's an opportunity to do matchmaking. And then there is a showcase where you can set up a table, and so that everyone can come by and see your table. Last year they wrote it out, best thing they ever did. I highly praise them. We got to set up our tables, and they were out through the whole entire conference instead of just being set up in a room where they were only accessible for an hour and a half. Our tables were out 100% of the time of the conference, so people could stop by and see what all you did, even if you weren't at your table. They did have times when we were at our table, but I loved it that people could learn about me even when I wasn't there. They do have a pitch breakfast that you will, if you pay attention to your newsletter, they will start having contests. Your very first video pitch is due this month, but you do a pitch, you are reviewed. They pick out the people that do the pitch the best. Those people then get to pitch at the conference. The 2 people that do the best get to pitch at national, and they get to go to national for free. And then the winners at national, Colleen can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 rewards for the people that win at pitch in national. And so even if you're terrified of doing it, it is a chance for you to stand in front of 300 people and let them see you do your pitch. So if you want people to know who you are, step up on the stage and do the pitch. Michelle Uber won it last year, and she got to the end and she was like, I never thought I could stand on the stage. And she was one of the winners. But she just went in with the idea that I want to make sure everyone knows what I do. And then we do have award recognition that at the conference as well. Biggest takeaway, the pitch is coming soon. Make sure you do the pitch. And then there are sponsorships available. Of course, they can only make this happen if they have the money to make it happen. But with the sponsorship, you get to have your showcase table. Your logo will be in multiple places and probably used throughout the year, depending on what level you have. But you want to make sure that people can know who you are and you're not just wandering around the conference and not knowing. All right, next up. So our signature events, Catch the Wave, we talked about. The Women of Color holds Bold and Brilliant. It occurs in April. And then they have the Women of Distinction Luncheon, and the WBENC Roundtable is in May. And so it's an award ceremony, but then it's also a networking event. They have professional development. The Ohio River Valley Business Development Program. How about that, ORV BDP? That's quite the acronym. It saved my life. I was drowning, and the program is a 12-week program that helps you run your business better. They have a business accelerator that is for smaller companies. So there is certain criteria. They have a construction summit coming in October. Don't think you have to be involved in construction. literally, I go to the construction because every construction company needs my services. They all need safety and they all need signage. And then we have business development workshops that you can always grow with. There's in-person connect events in all the different cities. There's coffee breaks, and then there's the annual meeting and year-end celebration. So many things. Pick out the type that fit you. There's so many. There's no way you can do them all. I tried. Pick out the ones that fit you the best. I'm going to pause because there's a survey. And
Yes.
me,
We
as the
collect
program
surveys.
director, I'm the one that gets graded on this survey. So I don't
Right.
get graded on what your scores are. I get graded on how many of you are willing to take the survey.
And
So go for it, Colleen.
we collect surveys on all of the events and programs we have, so we can see our impact for our WBEs and our corporate members. So if you don't mind taking a moment and completing the survey so we can know, did this meet your expectations? Are there other things you'd like to see? Uh, any other information that you feel would make us become better at what we're doing? Because as you are all in business and want to grow, we are a business and we want to be sure that we are serving our community of WBEs and corporate members.
In case you don't want to pull out your phone and do it right now, it will come out in an email. But please, oh, thank you, Maria. I saw you working on your phone. I could tell you were looking down. If you don't want to pull out your phone, it will come in an email. We do request that you do the survey. It really does help us know what ideas you may have for us to do or what we can do better. We want to make sure that we're servicing you. It is our job to make sure that we're providing you with the best that we can. All right, Colleen, tell them about what all we have coming up. Thanks, Denise.
All right. So on July 15th is verbalizing your value. July 16th is onboarding for the newly certified WBE. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, or if you've been uh, certified for a couple of years, you can take the onboarding. We offer it every month. It's open to all of our WBEs. It's focused on newly certified WBEs. It's kind of like an intro before you come to the maximizing. July 23rd is Pitch Smarter, Not Harder, Using AI to Win Corporate Contracts. August 5th is Coffee Break. These are great little opportunities that we do virtually in a webinar that you can join in and take part of. And then August 6th is our webinar about becoming a certified WBE. Robbie Moore, the certification manager, is the one who does that presentation. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in becoming certified, please have them join us on August 6th to go through that webinar. Also, when we aren't doing becoming a certified WBE, WBENC Link once a month has the webinar going over using WeBank Link and how to take advantage of all that is in the WeBank Link portal.
So if you know somebody that needs to be certified, let them know.
Definitely. And Robbie and I are a resource for you. So if you have questions or they have questions about it, you can always reach out to us. And then here's another QR code for our event calendar and registration links. So if there's something that we called out on the left side of the screen, you can go in and register using the QR code, or you can join our website if you don't want to do that right now. We do have our event spotlight. So coming up is Catch the Wave Racing Towards Impact in Louisville, Kentucky. there is another QR code for the registration and information where we'll have the WBE showcase, the pitch competition, opportunity matchmaker, Trailblazer Awards, and more. I'm going to talk a little bit about Opportunity Matchmaker because that is my project. This is where, as a certified WBENC WBE, you can schedule one-on-one meetings with our corporate sponsors who are participating. It's going to be on Monday from 2 to 4. You have to select that you want to participate in the Opportunity Matchmaker when you register, and then have that opportunity to go in and schedule meetings with a corporate member. Also want to say the artwork on this is actually an artist, a female artist based in Kentucky, and she will be at conference as well. And then we have the save the date, the WBEC ORV Construction Summit, October 13th, 2026 in Cincinnati, Ohio. And getting back to what Kathy said about doing your homework, I will never forget one of my first WePaint conferences. A gentleman came up to us in the Macy's booth and asked us what we were doing there because he only thought of us as selling clothes. But how do the clothes get there? How do the clothes hang in the store? How do we get receipt tape? How do we get the building, marketing, all of the things? So definitely do your homework and don't ask why someone's at a conference. You might be surprised.
Just remember, you don't have to be in construction. They
Right.
need all of those things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, because they're looking for catering, they're looking for prints, people to clean,
yes,
all of the things.
all of the ancillary. I mean, they have accounting department, so they need checks. They need whatever accounting department people need. They need ink pens. They need, so,
Leadership development,
yes,
HR, all
yes,
of those. But thank you so much for taking time this morning and joining us for Maximizing Your Certification webinar with Kathy Lindeman. Thank you, Kathy.
no problem.
If
If
you
anybody has
if
any
you
questions, I'm willing to stay on if Colleen is. She's the real host.
Yeah, I can stay on. But you also, if you don't have questions now, or you're not sure, you know, that you want to bring it up now, you can reach out to our info@webecorv.org email. That email I monitor for the organization. So if you have a question about programs, I can shoot you over to Dr. K. Or if you're specifically, hey, I have a question about a program with Kathy, I can forward that to Kathy. If you have questions about certification, or you have someone that is interested and you can't remember my email because it's a longer email, info@webecorv.org. And there's our website address, webecorv.org, and our phone number. And if you need to reach me directly, my direct phone number is 513-653-3821. And we
Thanks, Jen. Have a great day. Thanks, Carrie.